Hey there, welcome back to my channel Study and Prepare with me. I hope you are really doing well. I want to share something straight from my heart today. I have been putting lot of love, time and effort into creating longer videos to help you study better, stay motivated and grow stronger every day. But I have noticed many of you don't click, don't stay, or skip them, and that honestly breaks my heart a little. These videos are not just content, are my time, my thoughts, and my dedication to you. So, if you are part of this family and if my videos have ever helped or motivated you even once, I request you today please watch the full video. Give it a like, share, and most importantly, comment to tell me how you felt. Your one click, your one share, your few seconds can make a huge difference in this journey. Let's show the real effort still matters in this world of short attention. I believe in you. Now I hope you will believe in me too. And today we will learn about constitutional amendments and some important amendments to the Indian Constitution. Under Article 368 of the Indian Constitution, Parliament has the power of amending the Constitution. There are three methods: method of simple majority. The Constitution can be amended by simple majority in matters relating to citizenship, abolishing or creating second chambers in the states, creation of states or alternate of boundaries of existing states, etc. In the second method, apart from passing through a special majority in parliament, it should also be passed by half the state legislatures. Some important amendments of the Constitution. The first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951. This amendment added Article 15.4 and Article 19.6. Ninth schedule to the Constitution was also added by it. Seventh Constitutional Amendment Act 1956. The categorization of states into Part A, Part B and Part C changed henceforth. Part C states were redesignated as Union Territories. 10th Constitutional Amendment Act 1961 incorporated Dadra and Nagar Haveli as Union Territory. 12th Constitutional Amendment Act 1962 inclusion of territories of Goa, Daman and Diu into the Indian Union. 13th Constitutional Amendment Act 1962 insertion of Article 371A to make special provisions for the administration of the state of Nagaland. 14th Constitutional Amendment Act 1962 Puducherry, Karaikal, Mahe and Yanam, the former French territories, were specified constitution as the Union Territory of Pondicherry, now Puducherry. 15th Constitutional Amendment Act 1963, it raised the age of retirement of a High Court judge from 60 to 62. 16th Constitutional Amendment Act 1963, charges were effected in Article 19 to enable the Parliament to make laws providing reasonable restrictions on the freedom of expression in the larger interest of sovereignty and integrity of India. 19th Constitutional Amendment Act 1966, Article 324, was amended to clarify the duties of the Election Commission. 21st Constitutional Amendment Act 1967, Sindhi language was included as 15th regional language in the 18th schedule. 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971. It affirmed the Parliament's power to amend any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights, by amending Article 368 and 13. 25th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971. It also provided that no law passed by the state to give effect to directive principles specified under Clause B and C of Article 39 can be declared void on the ground that it was inconsistent with fundamental rights conferred by Article 14, 19 and 31. 26th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971. This amendment withdrew the recognition to the rulers of princely states and their privy purses were abolished. 13th Constitutional Amendment Act 1972. It provided that only such appeals can be brought to the Supreme Court which involved a substantial questions of law. 31st Constitutional Amendment Act 1973. By this amendment, the seats of Lok Sabha was increased from 525 to 545 but reduced representations of UTs Lok Sabha from 25 to 20. 36th Constitutional Amendment Act 1975 made Sikkim a full-fledged state of the Union of India. 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 incorporated the words socialist, circular, and integrated in the preamble. The fundamental duties were added in Part IVA. Directive principles were given precedence over fundamental rights, and any law made to this effect by the Parliament was kept beyond the scope of judicial review by the court. It authorized the President to make a proclamation of emergency for any part of the country or to whole of India. It made it obligatory for the President to act on the advice of the Council of Ministers. Tenure of Lok Sabha and state assemblies was increased by 1 year to 6 years each. 43rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1977. 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. The amendment was brought by the Janata Party government. Right to property was taken away from the list of fundamental rights and placed in a new Article 300A as an ordinary legal right. Constitutionality of the proclamation of emergency by the President could be questioned in a court on the ground of malfied. Malfied. In Article 352 regarding national emergency, the words internal disturbance was substituted by the words armed rebellion. It authorized the President to refer back the advice to the Council of Ministers for reconsideration, but made it binding for the President to act on the reconsideration advice. The constitutional protection on publication of proceedings of Parliament and state legislatures was provided. 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. It added the 10th schedule to the Constitution. 55th Constitutional Amendment Act 1986. The formation of Arunachal Pradesh took place with special powers given to the governor. 56th Constitutional Amendment Act 1987. Goa was made a full-fledged state with a state assembly, but Daman and Diu stayed as union territory. 50th Constitutional Amendment Act 1987, an authoritative text of constitutional in Hindi, was provided to the people of India by the President. 61 Constitutional Amendment Act 1988. It brought about an amendment to Article 326 for the reduction of voting age from 21 to 18 years. 62 Constitutional Amendment Act 1989. It increased the period of reservation of seats provided to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes for another 10 years up to 2000 AD. The reservation for Anglo-Indians through nomination in case of their inadequate representations was also extended up to 2000 AD. 65th Constitutional Amendment Act 1990, a National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes with wide powers was provided to take care of scourge of SC or STs. 66th Constitutional Amendment Act 1990. This amendment provided for the inclusion of 55 new land reforms acts passed by the states into the 9th schedule. 69th Constitutional Amendment Act 1991. Article 239AA and 239AB were inserted in the Constitution to provide a national capital territory designations to Union Territory of Delhi with legislative assemblies and Council of Ministers. 17th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 altered Article 54 and 368 to include members of legislative assemblies of Union Territories of Delhi and Puducherry in the Electoral College for the election of the President. 71st Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. It included Manipuri, Konkani, and Nepalese languages in the 8th schedule. 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, the Constitution of Panchayat Raj received constitutional guarantee, status, and legitimacy. 11th schedule was added to deal with it. It also inserted Part 9 containing Article 243A. For 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 provided for constitutional scarcity to municipalities by inserting Part IXA containing Article 243P to 243ZG and the 12th schedule, which deals with the items concerning municipalities. 77th Constitutional Amendment Act 1995. By this amendment, a new clause 4A was added to Article 416, which authorized the state to make provisions for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes with regard to promotions in government jobs. 18th Constitutional Amendment Act 2000 amendment amended Article 269 and substituted a new article for Article 270 and abolished Article 272A for the Constitution. 81st Constitutional Amendment Act 2000 amended Article 16A of the Constitution and added a new clause 4B after clause 4A to Article 16(1) of the Constitution. The new clause 4B ends the 15% shelling on reservations for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and other backward classes in backlog vacancies. 82nd Constitutional Amendment Act 2000. This amendment restored the relaxation in qualifying marks and standards of evaluation in both job reservations and promotions to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. 85th Constitutional Amendment Act 2001. It amended Clause 4A of Article 16 and substituted the words in matter of promotion with consequential seniority to any class for the words in matter of promotion to say class. The amendment provided for constitutional seniority to the SC/STs for promotion in government service. 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002 added a new Article 21A after Article 21, which makes the right of education for children of the age of 6 to 14 years a fundamental right. Substitutes Article 45 to direct the state to endeavor to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years, added a new fundamental duty to Part IV of the Constitution. 87th Constitutional Amendment Act 2003 provided that the allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha and the division of each state into territorial constituency will be done on the basis of population as asserted by the 2001 census and not by 1991 census. 88th Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. This amendment inserted a new Article 268A after Article 268, which empowered the Union of India to levy service tax. 89th Constitutional Amendment Act 2003 provided for the establishment of a separate National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. 19th Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. It stated that the representation of scheduled tribes and non-scheduled tribes in the constitution of the Borderland Territorial Area district shall be maintained. It meant that the representations of the above categories shall remain the same as existed prior to the creation of Borderland Territorial Area District. 91st Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. According to a new clause 1A, the total number of ministers, including the Prime Minister in the Central Council of Ministers of or Chief Minister in the state legislative assemblies, shall not exceed 15% of the total membership of the members of the Lok Sabha in the center or Vidhan Sabha in the states. The new clause 1B of Article 75 provides that a member of either House of Parliament belonging to any political party who is disqualified for being member of that House on the ground of defection shall also be disqualified to be appointed as a minister under Clause 1 of Article 75 and 164 until he is again elected. However, the number of ministers, including the chief minister in a state, shall not be less than 12. 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. It amended 18th schedule of the Constitution and has inserted four new languages in it, namely Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, and Santhali. After this amendment, the total number of constitutionally recognized official languages has become 22. 93rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2005 provided reservation in admission in private or aided educational institutions for students belonging to scheduled castes or tribes and other backward classes. 94th Constitutional Amendment Act 2006 excluded Bihar from the provision of Clause 1 of Article 164. It extends the provisions of Clause 1 of Article 164 to newly formed states of Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. 95th Constitutional Amendment Act 2009 through this Amendment Act in Article 334, the words 60 years have been substituted by 70 years. 96th Constitutional Amendment Act 2011 substituted Odia for Oriya. 98th Constitutional Amendment Act 2013 to empower the Governor of Karnataka to take steps to develop the Hyderabad Karnataka region. 100th Constitutional Amendment Act 2015 exchange of certain enclave territories with Bangladesh and in conferment of citizenship right to residents of enclave consequent to signing of land boundary agreement treaty between India and Bangladesh. 101st Constitutional Amendment Act 2016, the 122nd Amendment Bill of the Constitution of India, officially known as the 101st Amendment Act 2016, introduced national goods and service tax in India from 1 July 2017. 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act 2017. It gives constitutional status to national commissions of backward classes, inserts new articles 338b and 342a, which deals with composition of NCBC, etc., and the power of President to notify the list of socially and educationally backward classes of state and union territory, respectively. 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2019, a maximum of 10% reservation for economically weaker sections of citizens of classes mentioned in Clause 4 and 5 of Article 15. Amendment inserted Clause 6. That's it for today. Please support this channel and share this video with your friends.